Located in the B'nai Israel section of the Salt Lake City Cemetery is a monument that has developed a strange urban legend. Known as Emo's Grave, the legend states that if you circle the monument 3 times while chanting Emo, 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 and then look into the small window, you'll see the glowing red eyes of Emo staring back at you. This legend has been around for a long time, well before the first mention of it in the state folklore archives in the 1970s. And some people are still out there claiming it's an evil local legend. Give me a break. There's nothing evil about this legend. It's simply a legend. In fact, there are at least 8 different versions of the legend, according to BYU's Harold B. Lee Library Archives. One legend said that the grave belonged to Frank E. Mole and glows at night. Another claims the grave belonged to a 7-foot-tall Native American. One says in order to see the eyes, you have to say, "Rise, Emo, rise." There are also different spellings of the name Emo, such as Emil and Emo spelled E-E-M-O. The E-E-M-O legend says that the number of times you can walk around the brick wall surrounding the monument without falling indicates the number of years you have left to live. And then we get to what I call the Satanic Panic version of Emo's grave. This one popped up in the early 80s and claims that Emo was the leader of a satanic cult in Salt Lake City. The rest of that version is the same as the most well-known one. The monument is visible from 4th Street, just east of 990 East. But if you go looking for the name Emo, you won't find it anywhere because the monument belonged to a man named Jacob Moritz. Jacob was born in Ingenheim, Germany in February 1849. He immigrated to the US in September of 1865 at the age of 16. After spending a couple of years in New York City working at the F.M. Schaefer Brewing Company, he moved to St. Louis where he worked for Anheuser-Busch, just down the street from the Lemp Brewery and Mansion, which I'll cover in a future episode. Determined to make some money in mining, he made his way to Helena, Montana. Whether or not he just couldn't cut it as a miner, or perhaps missed the brewery business, by 1871 he was in Salt Lake City and opened the Little Montana Brewery. Within a few years, Jacob's brewery became so successful that he built a much larger, state-of-the-art brewery on 10th East and 5th South, renaming it the Salt Lake Brewing Company. Part of this once immense brewery can still be seen today as the Anniversary Inn. Over his 39 years in Salt Lake City, Moritz grew his brewery to be one of the largest outside of Milwaukee. His beer was sold throughout Utah, Idaho, Wyoming, Arizona, Colorado, and even parts of California. At the height of his success, he also owned 36 saloons. In 1889, he married Lahala Lewison from Hawaii, and she joined him in Salt Lake. They were both extremely active with the local Jewish community. He served as president of Temple B'nai Israel, and she was the leader of the Hebrew Ladies Relief Society. Not only was he a successful brewer and businessman, but he was also involved in Utah politics with the Liberal Party. Despite the fact that he made his fortune by the production and sale of alcohol, and also that he was involved in the less popular liberal politics, he was embraced by Utah's Mormon population, and from all accounts was extremely popular and well-liked. In October 1909, he was issued a passport, and shortly after that, he and Lahala left the United States to go to Europe. Jacob had been in poor health for a few months, and they thought the rest, along with the local mineral springs, would do his health good. By June of 1910, they had made their way to Germany, and it was there that Jacob Moritz succumbed to the effects of lung and stomach cancer. His wife and siblings were present when he died at the age of 61. And here's where the legend of Emo's grave begins. According to the newspaper article that announced his death, Lahala had her husband cremated with the intention to inter his remains in a mausoleum located in the Jewish section of the Salt Lake City Cemetery. Lahala returned to the United States from Europe on the 23rd of July. Jacob's remains were sent in bond and arrived on the 25th. His remains were interred in the monument sometime after July 31st. Shortly after his remains were placed in the monument, the rumors about Emo's grave began. It's not known who or what started these rumors, or where the name Emo originated. Lahala remarried not long after Jacob's death and moved with her new husband to California. Eventually, Jacob's remains were removed and given to his family, but it's not known where they were eventually reinterred. I suspect they were probably taken to California and possibly even buried with Lahala upon her death in 1959. One of the reasons given for his remains being moved was due to the undue attention and vandalism the monument received over the years. In fact, a granite urn inside the small window of the monument bearing his name was broken decades ago. And in more recent years, an iron plate was put up covering the window completely. And that brings us to the end of Emo's grave. Have you been to see Emo? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I'm Jennifer Jones. See you next time.